Through binoculars, Captain Dre watches thick white smoke bloom in strange, uneven intervals. One plume, pause. Two quick bursts, pause. Then a long, rolling curtain of smoke drifting east over the crackling radio. A voice reports, "Forward Observer Kade Rhyne has fired 6 smoke rounds. No enemy movement detected." Arlen lowers the binoculars. Why is he marking empty ground? 3 kilometers ahead, a lone soldier stands on a shattered ridge, adjusting coordinates beside a mortar tube. Forward Observer KadeRhyne.com/focused. Then, static bursts through his radio, and silence. They thought he was panicking. They thought he'd lost visual. What they didn't know was that the battlefield was already lost. Ravik Valley had been quiet for 2 days. Too quiet. 2nd Battalion advanced at dawn under orders to secure the valley before armored reinforcements arrived. Recon drones had reported no visible enemy presence. No heat signatures. No vehicles. No trenches. It looked abandoned. But Captain Dre didn't like empty battlefields. Empty meant prepared. Forward Observer Kade Rhyne was positioned on Blackstone Ridge, the highest vantage point in the region. His job was to call artillery if anything moved. At 5:40, he requested smoke rounds, not high explosive. Smoke Arlen frowned. Ask him to confirm target. Static. Then Kade's voice came through, strained but controlled. Visual obstruction required. Adjusting grid. Fire for effect. Moments later, white smoke erupted across the valley floor, but not in defensive clusters. They were spaced apart, deliberate, precise. Arlen stared through binoculars again. The plumes weren't random. They were placed in a pattern. 30 minutes earlier, Kade Rhyne had scanned Ravik Valley from his elevated position. Wind speed, 14 knots westbound. Visibility clear. He adjusted his rangefinder slowly across the valley floor. At first, he saw nothing. Then, something shifted. A faint ripple in dry grass. Too synchronized to be wind. He adjusted focus. And that's when he saw it. Metal glint beneath camouflage netting. Long rectangular shapes buried just below soil level. Dozens of anti-armor mines. But they weren't scattered randomly. They formed corridors. 3 wide lanes leading deep into the valley. Like open doors. Inviting entry. Kade's breathing slowed. They weren't planning to defend the valley. They were planning to let the battalion walk inside, then trap them. He swept further. On the far eastern ridge, barely visible, he spotted dark circular outlines carved into rock. Artillery pits. Hidden long-range guns. The valley wasn't empty. It was a bowl. And 2nd Battalion was about to walk straight into it. Kade grabbed his radio. Blackstone to command. Immediate halt, advance. Valley seeded with armor mines. Possible crossfire artillery east ridge. Static. He adjusted frequency. Nothing. He checked battery. Full. The signal was being jammed. The enemy had activated interference just before the advance. He looked down into the valley. 2nd Battalion was already descending. Armored vehicles rolling forward. Infantry behind. They had no idea. Kade did quick mental math. At current speed, they'd reach the first mine corridor in 7 minutes. Artillery fire would begin shortly after. Total casualties projected, catastrophic. He had 1 functioning channel left. A direct line to artillery command. But jamming would likely cut it soon. He had seconds to act. Standard protocol required confirmation before firing. But confirmation required communication, and communication was dying. Kade made a choice. Blackstone to artillery. Smoke, mission, immediate. Grid 7421 Delta. A pause over the line. Confirm smoke only. Yes, smoke only. Fire for effect. He began calculating wind drift. If he couldn't speak, he would draw. The first plume landed north of the mine corridor. The second plume slightly southeast. The third long curtain stretched across the valley entrance, each placed with intentional spacing, each drifting in the wind to connect. From ground level, it looked chaotic. From above, it would form something else. Back at command, Captain Arlen Dre watched confusion unfold. Why is he marking random grid points? A lieutenant muttered, maybe he's disoriented. Arlen kept watching. The smoke drifted, merged, separated. Then something clicked. He ran to the drone operator. Get me aerial view, directly overhead. The drone camera tilted and zoomed out. The smoke plumes connected like strokes of a pen. 3 long white lines. 2 short bursts near the valley mouth, and a sweeping curve east. Arlen froze. It wasn't random. It was a map. The 3 long lines marked the mine corridors. The short bursts marked safe entry points. The sweeping curve indicated artillery placement on the eastern ridge. He whispered, he's drawing the battlefield. Back on Blackstone Ridge, Kade fired his final smoke round. Static swallowed his radio entirely. Through his scope, he saw movement now. Enemy artillery crews scrambling. They'd realized what he was doing. A sniper muzzle flashed from the eastern ridge. A bullet struck rock inches from his head. He dropped low. No more smoke rounds left. No more communication. Only one thing remained. Delay. He switched to high explosive. Target, Eastern Ridge, artillery pits. If he couldn't save them with smoke, he'd buy them time with fire. Captain Arlen wasted no time. Halt, advance. Pull armor back now. Sirens bled across the valley. Vehicles reversed. Infantry scrambled behind natural cover. Moments later, enemy artillery opened fire. But instead of hitting a packed battalion, shells struck empty terrain. Then, friendly artillery answered. Guided by the smoke map, precise counter-battery fire slammed into the eastern ridge. Enemy guns erupted in fireballs. Mine corridors were avoided. 2nd Battalion rerouted through the safe smoke gaps Kade had marked. What should have been a massacre became an ambush reversed. On Blackstone Ridge, Kade's position was compromised. Enemy infantry advanced uphill toward him. He was alone. He grabbed his rifle and checked ammo. 12 rounds. The first enemy crested the ridge. Kade fired. Then another. Then another. He wasn't fighting to win. He was fighting to delay. Minutes passed like hours. Finally, he heard something new. The roar of friendly engines. Reinforcement vehicles climbing the western slope. The enemy troops broke contact and retreated. Kade slumped behind cover, exhausted, alive. Ravik Valley was secured by nightfall. Engineers cleared mines from the marked corridors. Artillery pits lay in ruins. 2nd Battalion set camp safely beyond the valley edge. Captain Arlen Dre climbed Blackstone Ridge at sunset. He found Kade sitting beside the mortar tube, staring at the fading smoke traces in the sky. "You disobeyed protocol," Arlen said quietly. Kade nodded. Yes, sir. You fired without confirmation. Yes, sir. Arlen paused. If that smoke hadn't meant something, I would have court-martialed you. Kade looked out over the valley. But it did. A long silence followed. Arlen extended his hand. You saved 600 lives today. Kade didn't smile. He just shook his captain's hand. In war, not every message is spoken. Not every warning is heard. Sometimes survival depends on someone willing to break the rules and trust that someone else will see the bigger picture.